Since this is our fourth 6 weeks test review, our test is going to be on 2/20, which is on Thursday, tomorrow. You're supposed to take this on your own notebook paper, and you will get homework credit for doing this. Alright, one of the things we haven't talked about in a few weeks is systems of equations. Remember, system of equations is two or more equations. We learned how to write, solve, and sometimes you have to do both. So I picked a problem where you have to do both, because that way we can review how to write and how to solve them, and kind of just do one problem. So it says, for a wedding, Sharita bought several dozens of roses and several dozen of carnations. The roses cost $15, so that's an important piece of information, and the carnations cost $8 per dozen. Sharita bought a total of, that's important, total.
Teachers, please pardon this interruption.
And she paid a total of $192 for that 17 dozens. How many roses did she buy? So we're just looking for roses, but we know in our systems of equations we typically end up finding both x and y, and that's just how it is. Alright, so we need to figure out who's going to be x and who's going to be y, and my strategy is I usually just do whatever comes first will be x. So roses will be x, carnations will be y. Okay. I then like to go and put all of the money together in an equation. So I know that I'm going to have 15, 8, and 192 in an equation. And then I just got to figure out where do the x, y, and the equal sign go. 15 for roses, so that's x. We're going to add it up because this is a total. This is how much we're going to spend. 8 for carnations, which is y, and that's going to equal $192. And so that's my first equation. My second equation simply comes from a total of 17 dozen. So she bought 17. What types of things did she buy? Roses and carnations. Okay? That is how you write a system of equations. To solve a system of equations, our best strategy is the four-step process that we learned in class. Remember, step 1, left parenthesis. Step 2 is we do the opposite of x. Step 3, right parenthesis. Step 4 is divide by the y number. Okay? When we do this, we like to have numbers in front of all these, so I'm going to slip a 1 in front of that x and a 1 in front of that y. We'll take them one at a time. Left parenthesis always goes in between the equal sign and the number. Opposite of 15x is negative 15x. Right parenthesis, divide by our y number, which is all right there, positive 8, so divide by 8. That is ready for the calculator. We do the same thing to the second one. Left parenthesis, always between the equal and the number. Opposite of 1x. Right parenthesis, divide by our y number here, which is 1. So that is also ready for the calculator. Okay. Once you get those, you go to y equals, and you type in those two. So I'm going to open up my calculator here. I go to y equals, and I type in parentheses 192 minus 15x, close parentheses, divided by 8. And then I do the same thing for the bottom one. I go to y2, 17 minus 1x, close parentheses, divided by 1. After you type them in, you hit graph. And we want to see, do they hit each other? So I hit graph. Okay. And my picture looks like this. Way up here, this is my calculator screen. Way up here in the top corner, I see them hit each other right there. When I see them hit each other, I hit second. Oops, not graph, second. Trace. Second. Trace. Number 5 says intersection. So I push number 5. And then I hit enter 3 times in a row. So 1, 2, 3. And my calculator tells me this. X equals 8. Y equals 9. And so then I got to go back and look at what was I looking for? I was looking for roses. Roses are x, so my answer is 8. And they very well could have asked for carnations, or they could have asked for each one. You can check your work real quick. 8 plus 9 is 17. So that works out. And then if you multiply that by 15, and the 8 by 15, and the 9 by 8, add them up, you'll get 192. Okay. Inequalities. These were the notes we talked about with inequalities. Less than and greater than, open dot, and a dotted line. Less than or equal to, greater than or equal to, closed dot, solid line. Less than or equal to, shade down. Greater than or equal to, shade up. Trying to think. You still got to know M. You still got to know B, and that helps you with the graphing. We'll look at an example on the next page. So if we want to get this graphed, we got to get it solved for y. So I'm going to solve for y. Draw my line down. Subtract 3x from both sides. Subtract 3x from both sides. Those cancel out. I bring down y. I bring down my less than or equal to. This cannot be combined. I'm going to write it out in mx plus b form. So that's negative 3x plus 2, mx plus b. There's a 1 out here, so I would divide by 1, so nothing changes on that. That is ready to be graphed. Okay. When I go to graph it, I need my m, I need my b, I need to know what type of line, and I need to know what type of shading. So less than is shade down. The equal to part means I'm going to have a solid line. The m is right here for mx. That's negative 3 over 1. Since the top number is negative, I go down. The bottom number, we always go right. My b is 0, 2. So I always start with b, begin with b. So I go up 2 and put a dot right there. From there, I count out my slope. Down 1, 2, 3 over 1. Down 1, 2, 3 over 1. Then I'm going to draw a solid line through those. Shade down. So if you think about this as a ladder, if I were climbing up, I'd climb up on this side. So shade down is this side over here. Okay. There's one question on the test where it talks about picking a solution. Any of the numbers where it crosses over here, these red dots are all solutions. Okay, the red dots are all solutions. These blue dots over here are all not solutions. Okay, so not solutions on this side, solutions on this side. Okay, and it's a word problem, but you'll be able to figure it out. Okay. Sometimes we have a single variable inequality. Just single variable means we have one letter, x, that's one letter. Okay, our goal in these is to solve like normal, so we draw our line down. We move the smaller one, so plus 5x to both sides. Negative 3x plus 5x is 2x. Bring down everything else. Those cancel out. Now I have one letter, so I can box that. Get rid of a minus 6 by doing plus 6. Those cancel. 2x is less than or equal to 12 plus 6 is 18. When it's beside it, we divide it. Divide both sides by 2. And I get x is less than or equal to 9. You always got to look right here. If we divide by a negative, you flip. Okay? We did not divide by a negative, so we did not flip. So here, we go back to our face that we drew on that first page. This has a closed circle. So we're going to go, and we would find where 9 was at. So dot would be here. This points to the left. If that were an arrow, that points to the left. So that's the answer we would pick. Our name, acronym for exponents, said exponent to exponent. We multiply. For multiply, we add. And for add, we do nothing. And these were exponent rules, not real number rules. Multiply also had a divide component. If we divide, we actually went up. Instead of add, we subtract. And then if you add or subtract, you do nothing. And we'll look at a couple examples of each one. This is a multiply problem, which we know in the exponent world really means add. So we'll be adding top numbers, but we'll be multiplying regular numbers. So 7 times negative 3 is negative 21. P2, P4, 2 plus 4 is P6. R2, R3, 2 plus 3 is R5. Nobody matches up with the Q7, so Q7, and that's our answer. The only thing, it might be in alphabetical order. Instead of PRQ, it might be PQR. Divide. We divide regular numbers. So I always start with a fraction mark. 44 divided by 4. If I type that in my calculator, I know that in my head it's 11. And then we look at this. Who would win this battle? The bigger exponent always wins. X9 would defeat X4. So the X will go on top where the bigger number was. 9 minus 4 is 5. There's nothing on bottom, and so that's the answer. Our last problem here is exponent to exponent, and that rule was multiply. So the 4 goes to the 6 and becomes 6 to the 4th. We do have to type this in our calculator. We type it in as 6 rooftop 4, or 6 times 6 times 6 times 6. And either way, let me type it in real quick. 6 to the 4th is 1296. And then these follow the exponent rule of exponent to exponent means multiplication. So 4 times 3 is x12. 4 times 7 is y28. And that's it. You will be allowed to use this paper only on your test. You will not be allowed to use your notebooks or anything else that we do. So this paper only, so make sure that you bring it so that you get your 100 points.